Hi, it's me, Sheree. Again, I am going to continue discussing with you the differences between mental health practitioners and life coaches. Um, in the previous videos, we discussed the different educational requirements for becoming a mental health practitioner. And I just want to continue with a little bit more information about what it takes to become a life coach. To become a life coach, to call yourself a life coach, there's no legal standard. Um, but that does not make the process, uh, when practiced appropriately um, by those who have been trained, any less valuable for its purpose, which is to help people reach their goals and maintain contentment or create contentment and happiness where things in their lives were possibly missing, or they felt as though they weren't getting everything out of their lives that they could, or their relationships or their careers. Um, a lot of the lack of contentment that people have in life leads to stress, which obviously leads to so many other health disorders and problems. So, coaching is excellent for helping people reach their goals and maintain a sense of balance, which is so incredibly important to good health. So, let's talk about some of the things that people study in coaching. Um, so, for me, I actually did have formal training in coaching from the University of Miami. And the University of Miami has a 6 month to year-long program that basically you at least start in this book. The program I was in, I believe, was 9 months, and what it did was it helped me to better clarify my mindset as to what it meant to be a coach as opposed to a therapist. Because having the training as a therapist, you practice things a certain way, you ask certain types of questions. And what this did was it helped to clarify for me what was appropriate to ask as a life coach as opposed to a therapist. And also tons of reading and lots to learn. So this is the book that they provide at UM. And in addition to that, there's also an ethics book and laws for coaching. And this is what a lot of people miss out on when they are just up and calling themselves a life coach. They don't know the exact process. They don't know the differences between being a therapist or a mental health practitioner, someone who has been trained, um, and the requirements and the laws that are involved in being a mental health practitioner as opposed to the laws and the ethics required for a coach. Okay, but both of them, there are laws and ethics. Okay, so be very, very aware that there are many people out there that, wake up and say, I'm a life coach. I'm really good at handling my friends' problems. Everybody comes to me and they talk to me. And that's all well and good, but just be clear that when you are shopping for someone, that you get somebody who knows what is appropriate for the process to get you where you need to go as far as coaching is concerned. There you go. All right. Also, one of the books that I had read initially was this book. This was before I went to school for the coaching at University of Miami. It was specifically, a complete workbook for therapists so that you could figure out, how to transition and what the differences were. And it goes through that all in this book. So this is the kind of thing that's important. And this is where people have a lot of questions and concerns, like you're saying you're a coach, but really you're practicing therapy. And if that's what you're doing, that's against the law. That's illegal. You can't do that. So you need to find out what the lines are and don't cross them. Okay, yeah. So you need to be clear, like I said before, that coaches should not be treating people with mental health disorders for those mental health disorders. I mean, obviously, there are people who have both life coaches and they have counselors or therapists, and that's great too. You know, they handle reaching their goals and setting strategies and planning with their life coach, and then they handle, their mental emotional disorders and behavioral disorders with their psychotherapist. One good way that people said to possibly think about the differences between coaching and psychotherapy is that in psychotherapy, there's a lot of work on extinguishing or ending unhealthy behaviors and practices, whereas in coaching, it's more focused on creating healthy practices and reaching goals, setting steps to reach goals as opposed to eliminate behaviors. Like I said, sometimes things do overlap in mental health counseling. Therapists often use the replacement of poor behaviors with new, better behaviors. It's always easier to replace something than it is to just get rid of something and have nothing in its place. So it's very important that people understand, and you as a consumer of any of these types of sessions or services, that you understand, what it is you need and who's qualified to identify it and practice the service that you need in order to meet your needs. So, anything else? Okay, basically, coaches do all kinds of things. Like I said, there's so many different types of coaches. I really like to work with people on creating better relationships with family or romantic relationships. I like to help people reach their goals, their health goals, their career goals. Interesting book. I just haven't completely finished reading it. But, it focuses a lot on getting to happiness, getting to contentment, finding what's missing. Wellness coaches help people, prevent disease as well as, to practice whatever it is doctors set up for them, as far as, whatever, let's say, for example, you had a heart attack, and you are supposed to be sticking to a certain type of diet, making sure you get your exercise in. Like, people will get coaches in order to help them in recovery, to encourage them to stay on their treatment plans. They're not designed by the coach, but the coach helps and assists the person in sticking with and reaching their goals. Things like this, the 7 habits of highly effective teams and people. These are coaching things. Anthony Robbins is a life coach. There are a lot of coaches, and they all have different focuses. People like to work on self-esteem building. Like I said, it's more about the idea of creating a certain lifestyle and reaching certain goals for a client, as opposed to extinguishing a behavior that's causing mental distress or emotional distress for the person. There are life coaches that specify their services, for children, educational planning, business development. I really actually also really appreciate the corporate world and dealing with employee happiness and productivity. So, a happy workforce is a more productive workforce. Just keep that in mind. So if you are a manager, you need to really think about the idea of coaching as opposed to some other means of getting higher performance out of your employees. Anyway, so I think it is important that people understand that coaching, it does not have the requirement of going to school, but that training is, I believe, most effective, um, and highly significant as far as making sure that the coach doesn't cross boundaries that actually belong to the mental health practitioner. Um, at least in being trained as a mental health practitioner, it's easy to identify, when one is uh, circling the realm of the mental health practitioner to make sure that when a client is stuck, oftentimes we use the word stuck. When someone is stuck, that tends to be when they need therapy because there's some kind of mental or emotional roadblock. Um, we do, as coaches, help people to move forward. It's all about the here and now and moving forward. Whereas in mental health, uh, psychotherapy is oftentimes about the here and now and what happened in the past that made it this way. So, you know, there's an excellent place for all of it in the lives of people who want to improve their lives. And really, that's what it's all about. And creating good mental health, wellness, balance, and contentment in one's life. So, if that's the kind of thing that you're looking for, there are tons of websites out there, including mine, which you can see on YouTube, ShreyHardy.com. You can check that out, and hopefully we'll be getting it more up to date for you, so that you can, find the services that you need, whether it's through me or any of the number of fabulously wonderful mental health practitioners and/or life coaches. So I'll be seeing you. Take care.